the lips, hips, and body. Come on, Candy, with the music coming out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I am your girl, Molinda Jae, here to bring you all a quick review of the SWV and Xscape Queens of R&B show that has aired on Bravo. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to this review, okay? First thing I want to start off with is sharing this, okay? This is coming off of Bravo, and it's just a quick synopsis of what the show is going to be about and who all is involved. So it reads, how did SWV and Xscape end up on the Queens of R&B together? Read more about how the legendary groups came together for a Bravo series. All right. If you're wondering how SWV and Xscape went from the 90s R&B icons to reality TV stars on Bravo, we have the scoop for you. It's been a long road for both groups, SWV and Xscape, to their televised Post versus Union, as well as the SWV and Xscape Queens of R&B premiering on March 5th, which was this past Sunday, at 9:30, 8:30 Central Standard Time. Also, from SWVs from the 1990s to their breakup, Cheryl, Coco Gamble, Tamara, Taj Johnson, and Leanne Lily Lyons got their start in New York's 1990s R&B scene as SWV, which stands for Sisters with Voices. They were signed to RCA in 1991 and released their first album, It's About Time, to multi-platinum success in 1992. SWV released 3 more albums, New Beginning, Release Some Tension, and Christmas album before disbanding in 1998 for the members to pursue their solo careers. Now, for the Xscape group, this is an image of the SWV crew. Okay, we have look like Lily, no, that's Coco here, and then that's Taj and Lily here at the end. Now with Xscape's beginning and their breakup is Xscape is the Atlanta-based quartet of Candy Burris, Tamika Tiny Cuddle Now Harris, and Candy Burris Tucker, because Candy is married to Todd Tucker, Tasha Scott, now Scott Bivens, and Tamika Scott, who was signed to So Def and released their first album, Coming At Ya, in 1992, which went platinum. Xscape released 2 more albums, Off the Hook and Traces of My Lipstick, before they broke up acrimoniously after 1998 album. But most of the band changed their minds and got back together, except Candy, who was signed over her rights due to the name Xscape to allow the others to continue to record. Tiny, Latasha, and Tamika ultimately contribute to the 2 movie soundtracks and quietly released 1 single in 2005 before disbanding again. So the SWV reunion and reality TV, well, SWV and Xscape had their 2 separate shows before they came together with this show, and with SWV reunited in 2005, doing several tour dates and eventually releasing a 5th album in 2012. In July 2013, they announced their first reality series, SWV Reunited, on WeTV. The show, which promised to address their 1998 breakup, a subsequent reunion, and work to pull together another album and tour, premiered in January 2014. and ran for 2 seasons before ending. A month before the release of their 6th album, still in 2015, they continued touring, and in November 2017, they received the Lady of Soul at the Soul Train Music Award. In 2019, SWV collaborated with Salt and Pepper and DJ Spinderella for a tour in BET reality show called Ladies Night, which lasted for 1 season. I remember that show. Now, Xscape's reunion and Bravo show. All 4 members of Xscape reunited for a performance at the BET Awards and Essence Fest in June 2017. After discovering there was an effort afoot to put together an unauthorized biopic during Essence Fest, they announced that they filmed their reunion and its preparation for the Bravo series Xscape, Still Kicking It. The limited series was released in November 2017, after which the group went on a 30-city tour together. But in the wake of the tour, Candy opted out of recording new music with the group, though she did join them for the Essence Fest in 2018. In Candy's absence, the Tiny, Tasha, and Tamika opt to move forward under the moniker Xscape 3 and released an EP titled Here For It in 2018. Now, for the versus battle, where they both came together on Mother's Day 2021, with both groups took the stage together in a versus battle, using the opportunity to pay tribute to their fellow female artists from the 1990s. And just a year later, Bravo announced their new reality series, SWV and Xscape, the Queens of R&B, promising the chronicle of the leading up to a new reunion concert that promises to reignite their music careers. Xscape then hit the Soul Train stage in November 2022 to take home their Lady of Soul Award, which was just for much more about both groups, watch the SWV and Xscape Queens of R&B premiering Sunday, March 5th at 9:30, 8:30 Central on Bravo, and next day on Peacock. Okay, so now that we got the gist, the background, the history, the breakups, all that out the way, I thought I'd just share that with you all before I give y'all my little 2 cents of the premiere of On to my review. Now, my thoughts of my thoughts of this is, well, the show already is that I'm here for it. Okay. Even though I am a baby of the 90s, I still grew up in with listening to the music as I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, stuff like that. I am so glad that both of these groups are coming together, because they're both are powerhouses in their own right. Okay, they have the feel good R&B music that we definitely need today. Okay, because today's R&B music is more like a living in a trance fantasy land to the highest power, compared to we can still feel good about it but be relatable at the same time. SWV is like the older sister group compared to Xscape, so that's what Taj was explaining on the show, that due to the fact that SWV came out a couple months before Xscape, they consider themselves as the eldest of the group, of the 2 groups, so they provide some sort of mentorship, and it goes both ways on each group. Also, it starts off with Candy playing her song Legs, Hips, and Body Song, okay, which was a single that she already released in 2014, but you would have thought she released it out today, in today's time, like in 2022, 2023, because it's in relation to these times, okay? But I can't fault Candy for the legs, hips, and body song because it's very catchy, no doubt about that. Also, there's also another single that Candy and Tiny had, which was called "Come Clean," and it's an unreleased song. Release it. Release the song, Candy and Tiny. Release this song, okay? Because just by playing the small sound bites, which I get it, Candy, that's that good marketing that I like about you, girl. You utilize your talents and your screen time as your marketing session. Peep that, okay? I respect that from Candy. But they need to go ahead and release that "Come Clean" song. I feel like that's going to be a good joint, okay? And also, that was a mention of a producer asking Coco, so when did things started going bad? When it came to them doing the breakdown of each group, the beginnings, the highs, the lows, and the definitely bad breakups. And Coco was like, it's the thing started going bad when the group started. I was like, what? And she went into detail that Taj and Lily didn't like her at first, and I was like, dang, like that, you would never have thought that, due to the harmonization that they bring to the table with them collectively. So for them to be on rocky terms in the beginning, and fast forward to now to where they're at, that shows you a whole lot of growth between the three of them as a group and individually as well. Also, the power of social media. This is the good part about social media when it comes to those unsung entertainers, whether they're singers, they're musicians, writers, etc. People start sharing information and memories about those unsung heroes, as most say, but those unsung entertainers that not necessarily fell on the wayside, but you can say that for most part, the labels probably just shelved them until there is a comeback tour type of deal, or when there's enough buzz around the internet streets to be like, okay, let's go ahead and bring that person back off the shelf, bring some reminiscing content out there, and let's do this thing, basically. And so this just goes to show the power of social media, because they was discussing on the episode that the fans and social media, help them get to a place to where, hey, in order for us to make this money, let's go ahead and give our fans what they want, because they have been missing us for a long minute, and due to the fact that we left on bad terms, we can do what is necessary to get back on good terms, so we can get back and get to this money. And that way everybody can be happy. In the end, the fans can be happy because they're able to reminisce on the good music that once was before, and then the entertainers, they're able to get paid because they're doing what they love, and they bring in that feel good music back for their fan. Now, the downside of social media is what the Scott sisters are going through, which is one wanting to go solo, and the other one is accusing the other of stealing her money, of her royalty rights, because Tiny had mentioned this to Tamika about there's going to be some royalty checks going out due to being in the band, and the fact that Tamika has not seen not a dime of it, and she has hired someone to do some investigating on where her money went. and she is pointing the finger at her sister Latasha Scott about this, saying that she stole the money and basically giving it to possibly, kept it in her household and probably gave some to mama as well. It says a lot. So and we've seen it unfold in social media as well, with the back and forth, the subtweeting, the sub posting, the replies, and all that. That's the downside of social media, where we get invited to the group chat, into the mess, and then they were asked for privacy, and I'm like, privacy for what? Privacy for what? Y'all invited us to the group chat, so we need to see what's gonna happen. How can we move forward with this? Now, also what was discussed was, like I said, the text message exchange between the sisters, because they haven't spoken ever since the Las Vegas show back in 2022, and that was a long time. I'm not for sure when they were filming this, but obviously it's a long time, and I hope they have worked out their differences for the most part. There was also mentioning that on the tour that Candy and Tamika end up getting locked out of their dressing rooms, but Tasha and Tiny were able to get into their rooms and change just as fine. And Tasha was like, "Well, I'm done changing. Deuces to y'all. Okay, I'm finna go up on this stage and perform, or whatever was supposed to happen after that." But the reenactment of the text exchange was hilarious in its own right, especially when Tiny started laughing and she said, "Yeah," and I was like, she reminded me of my auntie saying that. uh, and that it's good that Tiny is basically the mediator after all that they have went through in that group. Tiny has still remained her mediator self in the midst of the chaos of the other three. Candy, she tried to remain in her sector, and I'm pretty sure Tamika does. But as we are seeing this unfold with them on the show, it's like, girl, Tasha, you are having a whole diva-tude over here on this thing, on getting on one accord, and I agree with her. Everything needs to be all good and on a one accord, so, and everything flushed out. But now is the Scott sisters that's in disagreement. Before then, it was the Scott sisters versus Candy, and then on the show it was the Scott sisters still versus Candy, and Tiny is in the middle, like, okay, when y'all gonna hash this out and let's get to this money, basically. But now it's just straight up the Scott sisters, and Candy and Tiny is just sitting there like, okay, y'all, when y'all gonna settle this out so we can make this money, okay? And so, and this is all about, when it all boils down to it, it goes, not only it's a family issue between the Scotts sisters, but also body shaming. Because Tasha had said, obviously body conscious, because she never went under the knife to, get a booty enhancement, okay, a BBL per se. So, I mean, for her to never do that, I mean, shouts out to her. Embrace the little booty crew, okay? Embrace it in all the way you can. Because at the end of the day, you can always work toward, well, do the exercise so you can be able to have, some junk in the trunk. Okay. But other than that, I mean, I get being body conscious and all. Everybody is conscious in some way, shape, or form with their body, whether it's unconsciously or consciously. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it's all about embracing yourself as far as like being the standard of having big breasts, small waist, and a big behind. Okay, I'm looking for a dime that's top of the line, cute face, long waist with a big behind. Like, everybody needs to get on one accord that everybody's not made to look like that. Everybody is created uniquely in their own special way. So if you would like to go under the knife and get your butt altered, that's you. Good for you. If not, that's fine as well. There's exercise videos and plethora of information out there to where you can get the junk in your trunk or in the shape that you like, in the size you like. But other than that, embrace yourself, girl. It's okay. Also, it goes on into SWV rehearsing for an event coming up, and as you will see further on in the episode, they have rehearsed for a birthday party that they went to Africa for, and they have a manager there. And after they were rehearsing, they were discussing that there was 30 years of both groups. It would be a good time to come together and, you know, have one big showdown, maybe have a couple of tours in the midst of that, celebrating 30 years of in the business, in the entertainment business as a group per se. And they were on board for it. So that's what led to Taj setting up the brunch for the women, SWV and Xscape, to discuss doing a tour collab of celebrating the 30 years of being in the business as a group individually. Okay. So, of course, everybody comes in. They are in happy spirits. Even Coco came in good spirits, and we all know how Miss Coco is. I love you, Coco. But from the past, you know, Coco was in her diva moment in the SWV show, but now she's like cool, calm, and collected for now. That's all we are seeing for now. But for the rift to happen on the Xscape side, and it's happening with amongst the sisters, they end up sitting together but not speaking like that. But at the same time, they were able to still conduct the meeting there. And you have Tamika that wants like a full production type of deal, because the way she explained it, I think it was a good idea. But others, they was like, we want like a little intimate type of feel. Do we want an intimate type of feel, or do we want to go all out? And like I said, Tamika said, let's go ahead and do like a big production type of deal. And meanwhile, some are like, let's go ahead and do something intimate for ourselves, for the fans, stuff like that. And then you got Tasha that's like, well, before we do all this, we gotta address the elephant in the room first before we continue to move forward. And I'm like, you and your sister right now. Everybody else is in good spirits. It's just you and your sisters that got to get it together, come together so y'all can make this paper together. All right, that's the elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. But we get your drift, girl. We get it, Miss Tasha. We get it, girl. But yeah, and that's when it led to the come to Jesus moment with Tasha and Tamika going to their mother's house and having this meeting on figuring out how they can mend the brokenness between each other, so they can be a good sister to each other and also go out there and make that paper. Now, the come to Jesus meeting said a lot. Okay, for one thing, when Tasha was there, her and her mom, you can tell her and her mom have his relationship is like this. Okay, but when it came to the mom and Tamika, it was more like Okay, you know how the motherboard, some of the motherboards be in the church, and they just do that little tap there. It was more like that, and I found it quite odd that the mother offered Tasha something to drink, but she ain't offered Tamika something to drink. And I was like, come on now. Tamika don't get a drink too. She's a guest at the house as well. Her daughter don't get a drink too. Like, what? I thought that was strange too. And how they were discussing the situation and the problems within the relationship between both of them, whether it was professionally that bled into business or vice versa. It seems like the mother was more on Tasha's side than Tamika's side, or just the mother was not being a good mediator. How about that? I'm sorry. The mother was not being a good mediator. She was not being biased. It seems like she was responding more to Tasha than actually actively listening to Tamika and what she had to say in regards to the being body conscious and stealing the money and stuff like that. The mother was like doing some type of selective hearing to a certain degree, and this is why they should have had like a mediator or went to a therapist to mediate the situation and actually get down to the root of the issue. Because of course we all go to our parents for counsel and advice, but some of the time it doesn't work like that, because there are some that play a little bit more favoritism other than others, and they tend to look over some things despite on whatever situation is presented to them, and that could be a problem for siblings that feel like they're not being heard. So yeah, to say the least, they need to go to a therapist that is unbiased and don't have no history between both of them, and so they can get down to the root of the issue and start making amends with each other, so they can be able to be their best sisters that they can be to each other, and go out and get that money. Because the stuff that was unfolding when Tasha said you stole my money and you gave it to mama and stuff like that, I was like, oh, now that hurt. And the fact that the mother was like, what are you talking about? And you can tell the way she just politely just slid over there to Tasha and placed her hand on her shoulder as if she doesn't know what she's talking about, being in delusion. And I'm like, oh, that's that gaslight right there, which sets Tamika on fire, because she's already done the investigating and tracking and tracing the money, following the paper trail, and is led back to them too. So whatever issues that they got to resolve, I hope it is resolved by now. But it looked real nasty in that scene, to where the mother was like, cut the cameras, dead ass. Okay, she pulled a Black China moment there. Cut the cameras, cut the cameras. So hopefully they come to an understanding, so they communicate and do what I say. Okay, so that's all they need, is some understanding is what they need at the end of the day, because that plays out in the families a lot, with people, with other family members stealing from each other, whether it's directly or indirectly. But again, hopefully they resolve that issue. But I'm very excited about the season so far. Even though it's the first episode, hopefully they get renewed for a whole nother season, because this brings a good balance to reality TV, and this is the reality TV that I like to see. You know, instead of the ratchet TV. There's only so much ratchet reality TV that I can take in and grasp. But other than that, I am enjoying this series. I am enjoying it so far. Feel free to leave your comments down below in the comment section what you thought about this episode, and would you like for them to be renewed for a whole nother season already and get the traction that is needed. And hopefully they produce like a collab. Wouldn't it be nice if they do like a collab album together? Oh, that would be legendary. Okay, they do a collab album. Oh, that would be legendary if they all do that. If they haven't done it already, but if not, do it. Okay, it is a great time to do it, and then mark that thing. 30-year collab album. Period. All right. But other than that, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.